the things that I am curious on your guys' take is, with all what we just did today, wasn't really possible 10 years ago or maybe even 5 years ago. How do you guys think technology has changed music?
It wouldn't have been technologically possible, like the fact that we're filming all this on phones and stuff.
Right.
You can do anything with your phone. Yeah, the phone has revolutionized music.
And digital recording. It's going to sound way better than anything that would have been recorded years ago.
Yeah, we could have done this on my cassette 8-track.
You know what I was thinking about? Remember, like in the 90s, there was always somebody at every show, like there was always the guy with the camera. And they would be the ones that would document everything. But now everybody's that now.
Yeah, everybody's got one.
But back in the day, it was just like there was always that person with the camera.
Yeah, it's like the same guy
every show.
Like,
yeah.
That's the camera guy. I don't know his name, but he's camera guy.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, it's good because things get documented more thoroughly, but it makes it impossible to control. Like if you do something, on stage, like it's just going to be out there. There's going to be like a dozen different versions of it on somebody's phone that are out there. So you better be careful what you do on stage.
I have been to well over 1,000 concerts in my life, and one of the best moments that I've experienced was on New Year's Eve from 2006 going into 2007 when you guys opened for Alkaline Trio at Metro, and you played Off My Mind, and Dan came out and sang, and
then danced around a little bit on stage.
A little bit, if you could call it that. And to be in the crowd witnessing that moment, and then here I am almost 10 years later sitting in a room watching you guys play that song to me, for me. Like it's crazy to me that happened. Have there been moments in your own lives where you took a step back and you're like, holy fuck, is this really happening?
We ended up spending a lot of time with Morrissey. Like we were on the road with him for 5 weeks or whatever.
6 maybe. Yeah.
And had several conversations with him. And I still can't really compute the fact that like he knows who we are and likes our band. That seems surreal to me.
That's pretty surreal.
Yeah, I also remember we did a show, for some reason I remember this specifically, it was somewhere like south of LA or something, in a basketball stadium. But I just remember we launched into Need You Around and the crowd went pretty crazy. And I just remember that moment thinking, wow, this is interesting.
That was one of the biggest
shows. Because it was like
on that tour.
15,000 people, or I don't know how many people fit in a basketball stadium if you put them in there. But it's a lot of people.
I'm sure it was at least 5, but probably more. That was one of the bigger shows on it, though, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, opening for the Replacements last summer, that was a highlight. Definitely.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Just to be there, that was really...
Playing with Dinosaur Jr. was another one that we listened to them so much in high school, and then to open for them was just like, this is too weird.
Do you remember the show we played with them at the Agora Ballroom in Cleveland when Jay got on drums, and then their bass player at the time, Mike, got on the guitar, and they played, I don't even remember what song, but I just remember standing next to one of their tech guys going, he leans over to me and goes, this never happened.
If you guys were introducing somebody to your band today who had never heard you guys before, where would you tell them to start?
I mean, we don't have that much recorded material. As much as some bands.
How many albums do we have out? Does anybody tally this up? You probably know.
We got 5 studio albums.
And some EPs and
either way,
the party's over.
It's pretty manageable.
That's
I think
6.
you could tell that person to just start at the beginning
7, okay.
and just listen to everything chronologically.
Yeah. That's how I'd like to enjoy bands.
You can do that in an afternoon.
Is there a particular song that you think defines your guys' career or legacy, or however you want to say?
Well, Need You Around is an obvious one because it was our most successful single.
Mm-hmm.
But I think does kind of encapsulate our sound pretty well in one song. And I Know You Love Me. I mean, those are, I would think, our 2, like, they were singles and encapsulate our sound pretty well.
I find that people that are not a particular fans of the genre that we play in, still really like writing a letter.
And that was like the first one before Need You Around existed, like at shows. If you remember all those
that
early
was the big
shows.
fan favorite before that album. And still is.
It's a fun song.
Megan's, I always feel, is a particularly strong song of ours. And having had like Bayside do it and popularize it more with younger audiences, you know, that's a strong one. More on the ballady side, I guess. Kinda.
Are there any songs that you guys are sick of playing after all this time?
No, I mean, once you've played a song so many times, you just get past that.
I feel like
It's like, are you sick of eating sandwiches? No?
Yeah, there was a point in there, like, shortly before the first time when we split up. I think we all got tired of Need You Around for a little bit. Early, like
think
in
that
the
is true.
around 1996, 97.
Were we not playing that at shows?
We had a stretch of shows where we didn't play it.
Really?
You were sick.
Did we really?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was probably my fault.
And because it's like, are we gonna play this? I don't feel like playing that.
So yeah,
But I think we were all sick of it. But it still doesn't justify not playing
can't
it
do
at shows.
Yeah.
We did a lot of things you can't do, but
Yeah, things that did not help us. That's for sure.
So that was a question I had later on, but let's talk about it now. What are there things that you regret about your career, or stuff that you would do differently knowing now what you know?
I've let go of a lot of regretting the poor mistakes in our past because we made many bad decisions.
One could argue when faced with certain decisions, we almost always made the wrong one.
During the critical period of our career.
One could argue that.
Yes. That was the thing that we did most consistently,
Yes.
to make the wrong choice.
We're really
Yeah,
good
yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
But you have to eventually come to a place where you let go of the regret and you realize that all those decisions helped to shape the person that you've become now, and you know that that you benefited, even if like your musical career didn't benefit in the immediate from those choices, that you as an individual were shaped in a positive way by all that stuff that you've been through. So
Yeah, the thing that strikes me now is just all the experiences that we've had, and to be someone who is in a band that anybody cares about at all on any level is a great gift. You know, so that's the thing that I kind of think about now.
In spite of all of our decisions that we made, we still, had an impact on like what I consider to be a lot of people's lives.
yeah, and if you look at it a certain way, the one decision that we continually made, or the right choice, was that we always were protective of our music as far as like our own personal tastes and how we wanted our music to be. And so during a time when maybe our career would have benefited from us being a little more cooperative with the record label that we were on, in the long run, even though that those sort of business relationships kind of fell apart, we can look back and say that album is exactly the way we wanted it to be, and so there's a kind of integrity to it that has helped that music stand the test of time.
With all of the experiences that you guys have had, what advice would you guys give a band that's either starting out or maybe on the cusp of making it to the next level?
Seems like the basic thing would be just to keep playing shows. That's all we did.
Yeah.
When you think about it, we started off in basements and VFW halls, and then I don't even really remember how we ended up getting other shows. I think you just kind of start this thing going. You just get your shows and play them, and it's got to be basically the same now.
we were just incredibly lucky because that's all we did. in the 90s, we played shows. It was people's garages, and it became VFWs, and people started coming, and it grew. And I don't know any other way.
And my advice to any artist would always be to create art that you would like if you weren't the one creating it. At least try to be the band that could potentially be your favorite band that you were the most excited about if you weren't in that band.
Who have been some of the most influential people in your guys' careers, whether it be as a band together or individually as artists or musicians or people? Who are some of the people who have influenced the Smoking Popes?
I mean, for me, Fugazi is always a starting point as an influential band musically and ethically. As far as like what you were just talking about, making music and art with integrity. I mean, they created a new genre of rock music. You know? I mean, I guess you could say Ian with Minor Threat kind of created hardcore punk, or was one of the people, and then Fugazi is like some other form of music.
Yeah, and I think about them a lot too. They're a great kind of standard, but there's a line in one of the songs on that first EP that they put out. You can't be what you were.
Yeah.
So you better start being just what you are. That's a really meaningful line. I've thought about that particular line at different points in my life, and been inspired by it. Inspired to, go this direction instead of that direction. If I have the chance, I'll thank Ian.
What about, not necessarily in terms of bands that influence you, but people who helped you along and people that brought the Smoking Popes from playing garage shows in McHenry to doing cross-country tours?
Well, I think the person you have to put at the top of that list would probably be Joe Shanahan, right?
Joe, yeah, absolutely.
He played a huge role in, when we were still an unsigned band. He played a role in encouraging us when we, got our chances to play at the Metro. He would come back, introduce himself to us, just become a friend to us. If there's anything you ever need, let me know. And so when we started getting interest from major labels, we called him up and asked him to be our manager, and he did. And so he navigated us through a pretty intense period of our career. But he's done that for other bands. He's been a friend to a lot of bands, and he's just a great benevolent figure in the Chicago music industry.
Yeah.
I think for me, probably the most influential person just as a musician and as a guy making music would be Phil Bonet. Who we did our first 7 inches and and Born to Quit with, and he engineered part of Destination Failure too. Like, I don't think I would have become the musician that I am now without working with Phil. And
I would say that would easily go for the whole band. I mean, Phil was huge for us, and really for a lot of bands in the Northwest suburbs, because he would record all these bands for he charged them way less than he should have. It was a thing where he felt bad charging bands what he should have charged them, because he just loved music so much.
He would let you be who you were, but he would still make you sound awesome.
Yeah.
Because his techniques of recording you were like amazing. So that was, I'll never forget, like when the first time we recorded that EP with Phil, and we're driving home from the studio in your truck.
Yeah.
And we had the little cassette that he had given us of the mixes, And this was the first time that we really sounded good. Like a recording, like Phil had taken it to the next level. And so we're driving home and we're listening to like, waiting around down the street, never coming back, breaking. And like, we're just like screaming, We were just like, woo! And then like, we had it cranked, that we had never been so excited about hearing ourselves. Because it was a whole different experience from, it's exhilarating to be playing music, but there is something about if you can come up with a finished product that you can listen to and hear it more objectively. And if you like what you hear, then there's nothing quite like that.
So as a band who has been together off and on for 25 years now-ish, something like that, a while.
I think this is
quite
our
a while.
25th year.
Congratulations, happy anniversary.
Yeah,
We should do something.
Yeah, probably should.
What is left at this point for you guys to accomplish, or is there anything that when you were at your peak that you wanted to accomplish that you didn't have a chance to do?
It would be cool to make another record.
And I think we probably share it, like, just having fun with it now, like, not taking it really all that seriously about, like, what we're going to accomplish as a band, but just playing shows that are fun and having fun playing together. I think that's really my only goal.
Yeah, that's a good.
Well, now we have this awesome practice space.
And we have the rock room.
It's the best practice space we've ever had, as far as I'm concerned. So that helps.